Okay, so today we were discussing the issue on whether or not college athletes should be paid or not. This is my audience. This is my dad, my little brother, my grandmother, and my mom. Mom, do you think that college athletes should be paid? Yes or no?
Yes,
And why do you think that they should be paid?
because they bring a lot of attention to the school.
Okay, Nani, do you think they should be paid?
Yes,
And why do you think that they should be paid?
because I think they give a lot to the school. They give a whole day to the school. They have very little time of their own.
And Kyle, do you think that they should be paid?
No,
And why do you think that?
because they already get scholarship money.
Okay. And Dad, do you think that they should be paid?
No, I don't think they should get paid.
Why?
Because, as Kyle said, they already get scholarship money, and that's kind of their paycheck in essence for what they do for the school.
Okay. All right. So to start off my speech, I provided just a rough copy of some of the major football programs and how much they make in millions. So you guys can take a look at that. So it has come to my attention that the issue in which college athletes should be paid or not has become an outrageous debate in the sports world. College athletes that receive any percent of scholarship money for their sport are not allowed to be paid any money outside of that. Although these athletes are creating millions of dollars to provide many jobs and money for their school, they receive nothing in return. In 2012, the top 25 richest college football programs generated a total revenue of $1.4 billion, and the top 25 basketball programs generated $400 million. So why is it that these collegiate coaches are getting paid millions of dollars, the schools are receiving money off of successful programs, and the media is receiving money from discussing these players through things like television, computers, and newspaper articles? So why are people receiving money, but the athletes in which are actually generating the money are receiving nothing? On September 16, 2013, Time magazine quoted, "Players are essentially working full-time football jobs while going to school. They deserve to be paid more than a scholarship." Paying college athletes has been an issue that has been debated, discussed, and considered for many years in our nation. Today I will explain some of the issues that have been discussed when considering paying college athletes, what it takes to be a college athlete, and how much a college athlete is really risking for just an academic scholarship. The first thing you need to know are some of the issues that we come across when discussing this topic. Many years ago, it did not take much to be a college athlete. I would say that back then college sports were a lot like college intramural sports are today, for the fun and love of the sport. Over the years, the sports world has been developed into what I like to call a business. These college athletes receiving scholarships are owned by this business, and they are pushed to limits in which most people are not even capable of reaching. Now, when this topic is discussed, some people think it is an easy solution just to simply pay the athletes in which are creating all this money in the industry. But one must take into consideration the many issues that come with it. Issues such as if college basketball and football teams are the only sports making money at the school, they still have to pay every other student athlete at the university. But can the university even afford that? How can the industry make it fair for all student athletes to receive the same amount of money while the university is still creating revenue for the things the school needs, such as paying the coaches or the things that they need, like to practice and all of the equipment coming with that? In fact, Title IX, signed by Richard Nixon in 1972, signed into law the Higher Education Act, which includes the groundbreaking Title IX legislation. Title IX barred discrimination in higher education programs, including funding for sports and other extracurricular activities. As a result, women's participation in team sports, particularly in college athletics, surged with the passage of this act. According to this law, if a university chooses to only pay those sports in which generate profit for their schools, they cannot do so. They must pay all college athletes equally. Now that you have some knowledge on the problem with this issue, I will now present some information on what it actually takes to be a college athlete. As this ongoing issue is portrayed, I think that sometimes it is easily forgotten how much it takes to become a college athlete and the small percentage of people who are even capable of completing the task. In 2009, my oldest brother Patrick received a full-ride scholarship to play football at Georgia Southern University. I was lucky enough to be able to speak with Patrick about this issue and receive some information regarding what his everyday life was like as a student athlete. So here's just kind of a rough copy of the schedule. You guys can follow along with me. From 7 a.m. to 8 a.m., players were required for a breakfast check-in. You must show up sometime in between 7 and 8 to get breakfast so the coaches know you are up and won't miss class. You have to show up even if your class doesn't start until later in the day. From 7:30 to 2, classes throughout the day differ from day to day. So even if you don't have class that day, you have to still check in with your coaches at 7 a.m. in the morning. From 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m., you must get a workout in sometime between classes and before practice. If your class time doesn't allow it, then you must come at 5:30 a.m. 4 times a week. From 12:30 p.m. to 1:15 p.m., you have lunch at the cafeteria. From 2:30 to 3:45, you must come dressed to meetings. And from 3:45 to 6 o'clock p.m., you have practice. And 6:15 to 7 o'clock p.m., you have dinner in the cafeteria. And from 7:30 to any time it takes you, you must finish your homework. And student athletes that are struggling with grades, so if you have a GPA of below 2.5, you are required to log 5 study hours per week with a tutor on campus or during their office hours, and it has to be before practice. And that's roughly 70% of the team that has below a 2.5 GPA. As you may notice, this is at least a 12-hour day for a student athlete with tasks in which they are required to complete daily. Only 6 of those hours are given to schoolwork. The rest of the day is strictly revolved around football. Also, this schedule does not include the weekends with games on Saturdays, leaving minimal time for study work. With that being said, these college athletes have to balance school as well as academics, and this sport for these athletes can be very time-consuming. Other students have time to work and receive income for themselves, whereas student athletes have to sacrifice so much. People need to understand what student athletes are risking to play the sport in which they love. Not only are students risking their academics by spending time on doing things to increase their endurance as an athlete rather than studying to keep up with their grades, but they are also risking their health. College sports are very dangerous to play, and every time one puts themselves on a football field or a basketball court, they are risking themselves for injury. CNN recently reported that 21,000 football players were injured, and 800 of them were spinal injuries. The NCAA offers insurance, but over the past 20 years, there has only been 12 successful applicants for this insurance. If you get hurt, the insurance does not kick in unless you get permanently injured and can't play the sport anymore. So if you put all this time and effort into the sport and end up getting hurt, you could possibly lose your scholarship and not get to play anymore. But not only you couldn't be able to play anymore, you couldn't be able to do things like walk, or in some cases, if the injury is bad enough, you couldn't be able to speak. With that being said, these college athletes are fueling the sports industry, and most of them are risking everything they have, yet they still do not get a dime for it. Now, I'm not saying that these players should receive millions of dollars to play, but I believe they should receive an equal small salary for themselves, so they do not have to worry about being able to afford to go out to eat or see a movie every once in a while. Some of these athletes live off scholarship money, so what happens when they run out of gas or need a new pair of shoes? With a small portion of income, I believe that it would solve the issue and be an incentive for high school student athletes to work hard to make it to the next level. It will also leave professional sports as an incentive for college athletes as something to work for, because they would obviously pay much more in the big leagues. Today we explained the many issues that come with providing income for college athletes, what it takes to be a college athlete, and what these kids are actually risking to get to the next level. As previously mentioned, paying college athletes has been an issue that has been debated, discussed, and considered for many years in our nation. Each day, college athletes are spending countless hours trying to be the best of the best, while the sports industry and school is making lots of money off these athletes and giving them nothing but a quality education. They are risking their lives when playing these sports, while the school is making millions of dollars off of these athletes. Many schools would be in big trouble without getting that paycheck they received for their sports teams. With a small salary for all athletes, I believe it would help the athletes feel more appreciated, as well as enjoy a small reward for all that they've put through with countless hours of work dedicated to their sport. Okay, so now I'm going to ask all the people that said that they don't think that college athletes should get paid, they changed their mind or not. So Kyle, do you think that college athletes should still get paid?
Yeah.
You didn't change your mind.
No, I didn't.
Oh, you did? You do think that they should get paid? Why do you think that they should get paid now?
Because they never have time to make money for like food or anything. All they have is scholarship money for their education, maybe food and stuff.
Okay.
And so,
And Dad, do you think that they should get paid now, or does your answer remain the same?
No, I think you made some good points, and maybe paying them a small stipend would help them balance some of the struggles that they have throughout the day in their school. So I think you did a good job. I changed my mind.
All right, thank you guys so much.